What is the most gut-wrenching thing a loved one has done to you? We were stupid little teenagers who thought falling asleep on FaceTime together meant we were soulmates. We met online, and after 2 weeks of texting until sunrise, I drove to meet Sarah at a Starbucks one town over. We talked for 3 hours until they kicked us out, her leg pressed against mine the whole time. Within a month, her toothbrush was in my car, and my jersey was in her locker. We had our whole future planned out. Same college, tiny apartment, maybe a dog named something stupid like Waffle. But Sarah was drowning in problems my stupid teenage brain couldn't comprehend. Her dad would steal her birthday money for vodka and disappear for weeks. Her mom was barely conscious most days, selling pills from their kitchen table while Sarah made mac and cheese for her siblings again. All of this was not from word of mouth either. I saw all of this happen firsthand, and yet I never knew about it when I first met her. At first glance, she was a sweet and kind girl who didn't know any better than the life outside of the house she lived in. She never told me about anything that was going on until after we were dating. Growing up, I had an abusive father who would do all sorts of nasty things to our family, which caused my mom and me to move away from Mississippi to a new home in Australia. So, in this way, I could understand her situation. When I learned more about her, I figured I could help her somehow avoid her horrible family life. I became convinced that by saving her from her circumstances, I could somehow save myself too. This misguided belief led me to invest everything I had emotionally. We grew closer through movie nights at her place and walks in the park to escape her troubled home. Our physical relationship intensified over several months, both of us inexperienced, which made everything more memorable. On Valentine's Day, we decided we were ready to lose our virginity to each other. Life seemed perfect. I had a job, good grades, and happiness in Australia, away from my dad. Then her father returned. She confided her fears about him coming back, and when I met him, skinny, pale, with greasy hair, he proved no better than my own father. Months later, she appeared at my door sobbing, "He finally did it. He finally hit me," as if she'd expected it all along. That moment changed her completely. She became depressed, listened to darker music, skipped school, and craved more intimacy. One morning when she didn't show up, I found her in bed, broken and quiet. I held her until she agreed to go to school. Weeks later at the park, she suddenly straddled me, and I realized this wasn't the same girl I'd met 6 months ago. Her father's abuse had transformed her. She wanted to fool around publicly, using physical intimacy to cope with pain. I refused and walked her home, but in her room, she pushed me onto the bed and started unbuttoning my pants. I tried stopping her, knowing she wanted this out of pain, not love. "If you love me, you'll let me do this," she said, pulling at my clothes. Despite my protests about being late, she persisted. "I'm really stressed. I need this. Stop being so difficult," she yelled. Finally, I just let it happen, feeling powerless and ashamed. I've only told my best friend, who said it was assault. We were never intimate again. Weeks later, she stayed at my house after reporting her dad to police. She mentioned a guy named Peter, and when I joked about him, she exploded, insisting she wasn't cheating. Over 2 weeks, she spent hours on the phone with him until 3 a.m., always demanding privacy when I approached. Our first real fights began when I questioned her about Peter. She'd scream, "Don't you trust me?" making me apologize and feel guilty. One night after she talked endlessly about Peter, I asked if anything in her day didn't involve him. She dragged me to the kitchen and screamed at me like my father used to. This wasn't the girl I'd fallen for. Something else had taken her place. The next day, I confronted her at my front door about being taken advantage of. She left and returned saying she'd stay elsewhere because I scared her, that I was like her dad. She went to Peter's and later broke up with me. I exploded in my shed, punching the bag barehanded until my knuckles bled, grunting, turning to screaming, then crying, until I collapsed, sobbing. My mom and stepdad found me there. I wore bandages on both fists for months. Eventually, she admitted to cheating with Peter, but said they weren't together anymore. We agreed to try again after healing ourselves. I foolishly hoped she'd return to her old self. My mom warned me something wasn't right, so I waited, staying friends. Then she told me she'd been sleeping with another man. I finally woke up and cut her from my life. She spread lies to friends, claiming I hit and yelled at her. The betrayal cut deep, leaving me reeling from the shock of her accusations. It got worse a few months later when I got a new girlfriend, and her friends would follow me home from school. Then one day, she texted me that she didn't want me to see my new girlfriend anymore. When I told her that we both have our own lives, she threatened to unalive me. I couldn't finish the entire story, and this short, full story is on my channel and linked below.